Hey everybody, we're live and on an exciting red letter day. I'm not going to waste any time in introducing the design. It is really, really exciting. And I want to thank the Oakland Athletics for putting Zenny 62 Media on the press list to get the drawings and being responsive in general to my requests over time. A lot of stuff that I have not been able to share, reveal. But congratulations to everybody for getting this done. This design actually has been out there, if you will, for quite some time. It's just that it was time to actually have it shown to the public before the document approval proceedings start within the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. What we are looking at and what we are talking about is quite simply this quite something else. Beautiful thing, if you like, that is right here. And there are other drawings that go with it. I am going to then continue to download those drawings and show them. See if I can get this here and then put it over into a Pictureland, and I'll say PT1 like that, and then PT2 like so. Make this PT2, yeah. Save as, export rather, PT2, PT2, and then PT3 here. Oh, excuse me, that's already there. And try to have at it again. Yeah, the money shot. Export to that. PT, come on. Export to that. Export. PT4. Okay, so we got our PTs in. We've crossed our I's, we dotted our T's. This is it. This is one of them, okay? The photo that I like the most, all right, is the one you're about to see as I share a screen. And of them, this one. Take a look at that, okay? So if you're trying to figure out what's going on here, this is the location. You can see the Tropicana is right there, all right? So they've got that's Tropicana site, Excalibur next door. That's really what that building is. And then the high rise next to it. So this is a gigantic structure that really dominates the property. Boom, okay? And it pushes out of the way. There's some, I call them portables, that are next to the main building, but it pushes those out of the way and encompasses the site, leaving only the question of how they're going to incorporate the hotel where it is at the back end. I'm not sure, but you can tell the end that we're facing is, for practical purposes, the south side. And the idea is that you look, well, it's actually not really the south side, it's actually the east. It's going up, you're looking north, basically, and then the petals, as the way I-15 goes, because on the other side is MGM, okay, on the right. That's the green building. That's MGM Grand. Now, in the direction that they're pointing is actually north, if you know the strip. Now, on the butt end of it, or what appeared to be the butt end, is actually toward California. No pun intended there. And it's this, it looks like, if you've ever seen a design for the Sydney Opera House, it looks like the Sydney Opera House from that angle. Now, if we take a look at it from another angle, so that I'd be able to spin all these in, right? This is what it looks like from yet another angle here. Actually, before we get to that angle, let's get to the other angle that is really the angle, and that is this one. Okay, boom, that one. So this is the angle that you will see coming in if you were staying at the MGM Grand and you were going to go to the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana, and then turn and then go right into it. But let's say you're, 100 feet high or something like that. Maybe you're flying a drone, which I don't recommend because the drone would be taken down. But I digress. You would get this angle. All right. You would get this angle. If you looked to the right or this side, I can't flip it over, you would get the Excalibur. All right. And then if you go to the other one, you would get OEO, that hotel that they should have bought, and others. Okay. But this is the shot. It's like a jewel box. It's a combination of Ben Garcia's design. I tried to call him to be on this program, and the Sydney Opera House and Sphere, because there's nothing to say that sheathing cannot have LED lights. I don't know why not. I don't know. I'm certain that somebody, Bjarke Ingles himself perhaps, has considered this. But let me get my face out of the way for a second so you can get a full shot of what this looks like that, okay? And then let me get my face really out of the way. Possible to do here, like this. Yeah, see, there it is. That's the full shot of it. Encompassing that's the whole thing. And I'm going to get your comments on it right now, starting from first to most recent by Kate, and we'll go from there. And it says, Zach B says, Las Vegas A Stadium is going to be lit. I'm excited for the renderings for sure, 100%. Vegas Mark says, from the Death Star Allegiant Stadium to the Sphere, now to the shell on the Strip. I like that, the shell on the Strip. Zach B says, people are already talking ball, saying this won't fit on 9 acres. Well, that's whatever. They have no idea what you're talking about. Probably well, I don't care. Bay Area people are too jealous. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about them. It's going to be fantastic. The new stadium. In fact, they're not Bay Area people. They're people from anywhere. Okay, they just don't like what's happening here, and they don't like to admit the Oakland government screwed up. This is a linchpin example. This is the third time that Oakland has been punked just by the example of getting something done someplace else. All right, and again, this drawing was out there. HNTB and Bjarke Ingles took a gigantic, risky approach. It is crazy. I mean, it's just like, wow, are you kidding me? It's monumental. There's nothing in Las Vegas, indeed, nothing in the United States quite like it. Nothing in the world quite like it. That's the idea. And so Mark Thompson says here, it's going to be a fantastic new stadium. Definitely Viva Las Vegas. Absolutely. And Kate says, is this new renderings? Yes, they are. And I'll read the press release that was sent to me by the Bjarke Ingles communications representative in a moment. Says, yep. And Mark Thompson, yep, absolutely. Then I'll get back to the standard one, which is that, okay. And I'll leave that shot up for you, and I'll read all comments. And oh, it says, wait a minute. There are no lights. I don't understand what you mean. Explain that one, Timothy. How you doing? Says, imagine the All-Star game there, World Series, heck, even the Caribbean Series while we're at it. Yeah. Oh, this is going to completely remake American culture. I'll just say it like that, okay? It looks amazing, better than Howard Terminal. Yeah. And the reason why I say that, folks, is because it is a dramatic facility, all right? It is not a traditional baseball facility. Let's sink in how different this design is, even over Howard Terminal, okay? Which I actually like the original design for Bjarke Ingles, but then the community came in and watered it down. They made it softer. The original one was a jewel box. It was iconic in its own way, just like this is in its way. But this one screams Las Vegas. In other words, it says, hey, look at me. Here I am. I am a baseball facility, but I am also more. And I am a place you want to be. And I'm going to tease you with the idea of being in here by giving you a gigantic, big, blankety blank glimpse of what's going on inside from outside. You want to be in here and you know it. That's what this building says. And that's what Las Vegas is about. Okay. It doesn't say it with a schlocky sign. It doesn't say it with big marquee lights or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but because they've come to define Las Vegas, right? But it says it by its design. By its design. It also says it's ultra modern, it's sleek, and it's path breaking. It says all that in one fell swoop. This is a very powerful design. Then behold the big shell. Then Zach says, that screen is lit, projecting the game itself on the wall. I'll get to that in a second. And then he says, and then Vegas Mark says, it would be smart for the Las Vegas Convention of Visitors Authority to extend the monorail to the ballpark. I agree. Kate says, it looks like it's sitting on more than just 9 acres. Well, it is. It's 36 acres. And I'm glad you said that, because the fine print was, well, hey, you can use, we'll deed you 9 acres to begin with, but we'll allow you to use more if necessary. All right. And this is the if necessary. And this is everyone saying, okay, we get it, we get it, we get it. And the reason is this is the center of a private placement. All right. And so, it does look awesome, doesn't it? It is absolutely a beautiful structure. He says it can be used as a supersized amphitheater for concerts, judging by its design. Yeah. It's a lot like Sphere on the inside, if you think about it, right? He says, what's everyone's thoughts on will be leased for 30 to 35 years? And also, this will be the home of the athletics for lifetimes. Yeah. And R.D. Moss says, if people are saying it's too big for 9 acres, should realize it's been designed with valleys. Well, it's really a 36-acre project, okay? And a lot of people who get involved in this, look, I get where they're coming from. They don't want it to happen, so they're going to say anything negative they can come up with. I've been there. But the reason why I got off that bandwagon was because the one constant remained. The city of Oakland wasn't doing anything. No debriefings, no organization to really rebuild our sports organization. And the idea that the Alameda County had was, hey, you know what? We're tired of dealing with the city of Oakland. And so guess what? We're going to let Oakland have the whole thing, except they made the decision Alameda County did back in 2015 in the middle of a meeting with the Raiders on a new stadium with the NFL watching. I mean, how stupid is that? Okay? But that's what happened. That is straight up what happened. And so, you have to say at some point, people are going to get tired of this. We have a generational trail of bad behavior does Oakland government, and people need to get involved in their government, period. Now, Zach says, the Jewel Strip says, it doesn't look like there's parking under the stadium. Interesting. I don't quite know. Let me see if I can get some feedback on there. Ben Garcia. Oh, that's what I sent to Ben. With Ben. Let's see if I can get any. I'm going to try real quick. First of all, before I do anything, I'm going to get the rest of your comments here. I don't want to miss anything. All right. Says it got that one. It says link syncing, and also voters in Oakland bear responsibility. Yeah, Oakland. This is the Oakland culture that has let this happen. Congratulations, Ben. Yeah, this is Ben Garcia. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll get that in a second. You see the similarities, okay? Mortensen McCarthy, architects. Well, actually, they're contractors. The architect for Allegiant is Manica, okay? And Manica took their original design for the NFL stadium that was slated for Carson, California, and brought it to Mark Davis. Mark Davis hated that design, so they went over and created something that was to really call up thoughts of a sports car. And that's what gave rise to the design for Allegiant Stadium that we see today. Mortensen McCarthy was the builder. All right. They are the contractor. They are not the architect. Like in this case, what you see here is a result of the work of the collaboration of Bjarke Ingles out of Denmark. They have a Las Vegas office, and HNTB Helmuth. It used to be Helmuth. It used to be Helmuth about no. But anyway, I forgot what HNTB stood for. But anyway, HNTB Architects, which I think was outgrowth of Helmuth about on Castlebaum years ago. At any rate, decades ago. At any rate, moving along, Anthony says it could be used for All-Star games. I got that one. WrestleMania. Yep. Gotcha. Both great additions to Las Vegas nonetheless. And then says, looks like the Sydney Opera House. A lot, doesn't it? Very much. He says, all the noise in Oakland media kept saying, where are the renderings? It must be a sad day for them. Yeah, because, we went to the same thing with the Raiders, and that's why I'm tired of the song. It's like, hey, look, the old saw that my friend Alberto Rocca used to say to me when I represented Mayor Harris, if you like what you're getting, keep on doing what you're doing. Well, we kept doing what we were doing in terms of making this Seder babbling around, hey, look, stay with us, come up with a plan. The city drags its feet, gets nothing done. We go through a series of hilarious situations, and then, but all with the idea that, they're not going to give up on us. And that was through the 21st century. And then something happened. People got tired of it and realized, hey, these edifices are becoming way too lucrative to fool around with. And we cannot rely on cities that are going to fool around with their end of the half of the bargain. I don't care what anybody says. If you're giving a subsidy, this is only 120 million. This is a bucket, nothing. But if you're getting subsidies, 400 million, 500 million, almost $1 billion, you as a city have the right to say, I want my piece for my people, jobs, monies for specific programs, and so on. You can carve out great relationships. Hey, money for education, you can do that too. That's called the Community Benefits Plan. That's what Alexander Marx and Christopher Daly and his people don't seem to realize. This generates money for a lot of people if you work with the developers, the A's, and their partners and come up with something that helps them and helps you. All right. But if you do it the way that Alexander Marx and company are talking about, you will fail every single time in Las Vegas and Nevada because they're developer friendly. That's why. They don't want to chase money away. What they have to do now is get their money to come trickle down to those who need it the most, who work on the strip, who not making the money they need to. That's job number one, and everybody agrees with that. You just have to figure out the right mechanism to get everybody to work together, not the way that they're doing it. The way they're doing it is bozo. All right? Complete bozo stuff. All right? Mike says Casey and Brody. Okay. Anyway, Las Vegas A's World Series champions next decade could happen. Not sure how it's retractable. Could like to see it open. Well, this is it. It is open. It is not. It's fixed. Okay. You're not going to get it moving. This is the design. This is the cable net roof. If you look closely, you see the lines. That's the cable net. This is the cable net roof that they're talking about. And it is in its design. It's kind of like it's a variation of the ETFE design that's on Allegiant Stadium with less tinting. And so it's like the lanai door construct on the side of Allegiant Stadium. It's a lot like that. Okay. And so it says Bay Area media also responsible for covering the city and generating much hatred against Fisher. Yep. Absolutely. And Clark County Commissioner said, PAC pointless as project doesn't take a penny away from schools. Well, no, it doesn't. Because, again, the premise of the schools not stadium argument rests on the idea that this is a standard general obligation bond that draws directly from the general fund as opposed to having its own stream of 17 different income sources, all right? All of which can be adjusted. And on top of all that, all you have to do, the way the funds are spread out, shift one fund to the other rather than establishing a new tax. Their argument is speculative. It is a big if it gets into trouble, we have to then use a standard tax on everybody, and that is not true. For the simple reason that of magnitude, it's a $120 million bond issue. It doesn't require a lot of money over time to fuel the debt service. It just doesn't. But see, these folks don't like to do math. They want to talk and be legends in their own mind. From a guy who's a legend in his own mind, I should know, right? And all they want to do is basically say, okay, it's this way, it's our way, it's our way. But their way has nothing to do with sports stadium finance convention, let alone state-of-the-art community benefits agreements going on around the world, including in Las Vegas and Nevada as I speak. All right. So they're just off at 380 million. Well, actually, it's not 380 million. And that's why there's an important distinction to be made. It's a $120 million bond issue. All right. Which then is the real public money. The tax credits are optional. The A's can never use them. And thus, this 380 million is never seen in terms of a total amount of public money that the media says is involved rather than looking at the fine print. Fine print's always important in this, okay? Always important. Shut up and take my money. Says Nevada Independent did a big article on waterfront project or how waterfall protects Nevada PAC taxpayers. Vegas Mark says, I've said once before that this fills the gap for events too big for T-Mobile Arena, but too small for Allegiant Stadium. Yeah. I could see, a facility like this, given the ticket prices that would be charged, I could see Taylor Swift, opening this thing. And what kind of backdrop would that be in here? Okay. Something else, wouldn't it? So let me get the other angles out here while I'm doing this and present them. Make one. And then also read the press release as I go. So I'm going to change the picture here, so to speak, literally. And then what I'm going to do is read to you the full press release. It's actually also in the text. I had to make one adjustment, however, because of the I had to make an adjustment because of the length of the press release versus what the number of characters that YouTube allows. So you used to say it should be 6,000, but there's always going to be that press release that goes beyond 6,000 characters. In this case, it's 5,000. So I had to lop off the credits at the end for some of the Bjarke Ingles crew, but I will definitely name them and going forward right here. Okay, so that's done. Got this out of the way, and going back to channel content here, and that I'm doing next is going to. This is my channel, and this should be front and center, and it is. Yeah, and I'm going to put out one more tweet to invite people to come in and listen. All right, and then I'll go and get the press release itself and read it, and then go back and read all of your comments, regardless of who has to say what. Okay, regardless of who has to say what. And so here we go. And let me put it that way. Here, nope. Sorry, folks, I got to make a quick adjustment yet again to that. There's that adjustment. And as the Squire of Gothos would say in Star Trek, let's have at it again. That's Star Trek, the original series there. Hashtag Las Vegas. Oops, excuse me. Hashtag Las Vegas. Vegas. Yeah. Okay. And boom. There. Okay. Now. All right. So Michael Colbruno put out a tweet. He goes, an hour goes, well, look at this. The Athletics are building a replica of the Sydney Opera House in Las Vegas. True. Like the original, those white sails belong on the waterfront. Well, no. Because those white sails are there because, Michael, it's a desert. And it's kind of like the sail in the desert that protects you from the elements. You know what I mean? That's the idea. So it's, there's, you have to be, what's the word, Michael? Flexible in your thinking, abstract in your thinking. I mean, you took abstract math, didn't you, Michael Colbruno? Anyway, you know what I'm saying. All right, now, let me go back and read your comments before I get to the press release. Oh, I said I promised a different angle, didn't I? So let me give you that different angle right now. And let me give you the angle that is the interior angle. This one. Bam! Okay. Wow. Okay. That is, again, another angle that's inside. Now look at how big the scoreboard is. All right. Look at how big, I mean, seriously, look at how big the scoreboard is. Let me just take myself out of the equation. Isn't that cool? Woo! All right. I mean, that's more dramatic than Howard Terminal. More dramatic than Howard Terminal because it is an enclosed facility. And what you're seeing is a combination of this fabric roof, glass, the cable net glass, translucent material, not so much glass, and in full, and then housing this 18,000 square foot scoreboard. That's what you're looking at in the outfield. But I'll bet you can do a lot more than that when they get going. And it would not surprise me if some sponsor worked with the A's to use more of that to put their own commercials and everything up there. That's a lot of acreage to go unused, folks. Believe me, it is not going unused, okay, at all. That's going to get used. It has to. It just has to. Now, let me get to your comments here as promised. And says, Mike says, needed for the rodeo, all-star markets for trucks. National Professional Rodeo will still move here from Thomas and Mack. 10 days per year total sold out. Oh, definitely back in this backdrop. Absolutely. RD says, now we need to finalize the beer sponsor. He has play ball. Yep. And Zach says 100%. Says this stadium, this is the stadium they're building. This is it. This is it. Vegas Mark says concerts that may not be able to fill Allegiant Stadium will want to give this place a shot. Definitely. Best backdrop in all of sports. Yeah. This, you know what? This is an answer to what could have been done at the Coliseum if the Coliseum were built in this way. I'm talking about the stadium were rebuilt. And so I think it's really a sign for how Oakland should think about rebuilding the Coliseum in a modern age, because a lot of people miss the outfield and be able to see out there. And we came back with the Raiders. We didn't get that. It's not that we couldn't have that, but we brought back the Raiders strictly. I mean, we made the stadium remade it strictly to bring back the Raiders, but we didn't make the stadium so that could be state of the art. There's a whole parsec difference between one thought and the other, folks. And the reason why we didn't do it then real quick is that it was money. The original proposal was north of $800 million. The city council balked. This was in 1983. So it was eventually watered down. 1993. It was eventually watered down to a proposal that was just north of $200 million and has produced what we call and what you see today, Mount Davis. All right. That's how that wound up there. Prior to Mount Davis, it was bleachers in a picnic-like area. And I see some of that possibility, or a lot of that possibility right here. Right here. Now, am I saying this could also be used for football? Well, yeah, you can convert this into football without question. And why not? Special football that maybe can't be at the Allegiant Stadium could be here. This opens that possibility. Certainly, it opens that possibility. Now, it's a freaking amazing and gorgeous. And Mike says, I'm thinking the scoreboard may be a projection on the screen. And yeah, I think so too. I'll find out more. Then he says, it's possible the entire roof could be a TV screen, similar to how hockey uses ice today. And he says, where is a center field wall? Well, we're looking right down the pipe at center field, right? So I would think that it is, well, yeah, right down the pike. Boom. And it's not like the dominant thing there. And he says, maybe LED screen roof like this on Fremont Street. He says, where are the suites? Well, the suites are behind us. Okay. So you're looking at, well, look at it this way, Timothy. You're actually sitting in one of the suites looking out on the action. All right. That's what's going on. That's where the suites are. The suites are to either side of you. I can't, but if you were to be able to crane your neck in to the left or the right, you would see the walls for that define where the suites are located. And so Mike says, Zach B, yes, I believe they will project to the entire inner screen for entertainment, home runs, and concerts. And I think on that, because this is more for the athletics as opposed to, in other words, let me say this. The nature of this building device is such that the A's could actually allow sponsors to tell giant stories writ large on the roof in a way that they couldn't do for Sphere. And you would say, why is that? I mean, you can do it, but they're not doing it. Why is that? Because the nature of Sphere is to use that whole thing for entertainment projection. And what you're coming to watch really is what happens in that building. Like with U2's there, you're coming to see U2 and how U2 uses that space. This is different. You're coming to watch the baseball game go on, but you can also watch something else, right, on the roof. And that gives you the door to open to present all of these creations that sponsors can come up with. That's the difference. That's the unique difference. All right. So a hugely unique difference. So and it says it looks nice. Alberto says the only thing where is parking? Just curious. I don't know how they're going to handle that. I have a theory, though, and I'll share in this 1 second after I get through these comments. He says, exactly. This is for the people attending, not on the outside. Right. But it's a teaser because there are people who are going to want to try to, peer on the inside from New York. Because remember, what are we looking at out there just to the left? That's New York. What's to stop somebody from trying to get a restaurant over there, or New York establishing a restaurant over there that gives people a view of the ballpark and having it sell out on particular games so that people can get a peering view of what's going on inside that facility, especially if they have some sort of, indoor fireworks show that people can see from the outside that makes people really excited. That sort of thing could happen. All right. Seating capacities at 33,000. Eden says, I love this stadium. I hope it comes into fruition. It will. I feel for Oakland, but this is a beautiful stadium. Just would want more seats in the left field, but definitely has a Premier League feel to it. Yeah. Thank you, Eden. And Mike says, parking is not a problem. Plenty of parking at the Trop, MGM Park, and Excalibur. I think also the thinking is that given the nature of Las Vegas, the majority of people will come from, those hotels, okay, close by, and other hotels along the strip and in Las Vegas. The majority of people walking, some taking ride share, and I should say, yeah, the majority of people walking and some taking rideshare or transit. There is a great and improving transit system going along the Las Vegas Strip. The monorail is nearby. It should be redirected in here. And it would be cool to get Stephen Hill's thoughts on that. Says drones instead of fireworks. Yeah, drone shows. Thank you. Parking will be Excalibur, MGM until the owner of OEO realizes he or she will make money as a parking garage. Yes. Although, you know what? That hotel cries for renovation. I don't care what anybody says. I would love to be the owner and just of the OEO and just announce this huge redesign timed for the opening of the ballpark. That's what I would do. And Las Vegas Loop will run into it. Yeah. OEO is a parking garage. Now, OEO as OEO. OEO is something that makes you say, OEO, right? Because right now it makes you go, oh, yuck, oh. All right? Big difference. All right? And Michael says the monorail actually stops at MGM right now across the strip. The Vegas Loop will replace it. Yeah, I think, I'm a big fan of the monorail, and I do not subscribe to the idea that it can't be a moneymaker. I believe that if the routes were expanded into 3 other places, further north of the strip, 1, and then further south of the strip into Allegiant Stadium, okay, those extensions would completely change the financial picture of the monorail in my view. And so it says, bring Hooters back. I stayed there when it was Hooters. I actually liked it. So it says monorail is just too old to improve. They don't make stuff for it. No, actually they do. That's not true. There are monorails all over the world using the same all-wag based system. You have to remember, it's not just here. You have Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Tokyo Disney, Disney Europe, right? And then there are other places around the world that use the all-wag system and consistently update the monorail. So the idea that the monorail isn't updated is not true. It is. So it looks like there's nothing else in the Tropicana site. I'm guessing Bally's and the A's couldn't get something out jointly. Well, no, I believe that what's going on is that this is the jointly. And the idea was to release drawings to show that there was a better merging into one. And there's a good reason for that, private placement. In other words, you don't want Bally's having something that looks so completely different than the Athletics that from an investment standpoint, it looks like there's no rhyme or reason. And so why would I put my money into something where I'm not sure that the audience there that's visiting is going to flow through it, right? This brings a dramatic end to that concern in terms of its design. Wonder what the stadium will be named. Good question. MGM, maybe? Let's call Bill Hornbuckle and ask him. Hey, Bill, will there be a press conference, you think, this week to show more details? I'm trying to find out. It says press conference possibly Friday or the weekend for big league weekend, but not sure. Hopefully, I'm trying to find out too. There's no hotel in the renderings. That was the plan, wasn't it? Well, actually, if you take a look, and I'll get to that in a second. All right. Let me come back to that. It says this is only 9 acres, or there's something available. Actually, this is more than 9 acres. All right. This is more than 9 acres. All right. So let me get back to that. I mean, don't be fooled. It's more than 9 acres. And don't get caught up in that either, because, again, a lot of people went on a narrative that the Athletics and others had nothing to do with, okay? Nothing. Okay, so here is the side view. This is we'll call this the Colbruno view, all right? But you see that's mostly Excalibur on the other side. But in this rendering, it looks like they maintain the actual tower for the Tropicana and torn down the other parts of the facility. And there's parking, and they're called them portables on the side, right? But if you take a look at all of that land, and I wish I could superimpose these screens, then you would get the idea of how, in fact, maybe I can push this in, right? Can I? Nope, I can't. All right. I have to have a different kind of way of doing that. I think I'll have to build a certain visual construct so you can get an idea of the difference. I'll be at the Age game this Friday at Las Vegas Ballpark. And it says, oh, awesome. Okay. This looks like vaporware to me, says Vlad the Impaler or Vlad the Impala. I think you mean the Impaler. That would make more sense. At any rate, all right. This looks like vaporware to me. Let's see if John Fisher can actually go ahead and get this funded and built. Let me get that out of the way, okay? And I want to address that again. First of all, billionaires do not pay for stadiums. All right? That's not how it works. What you want is to have backing in order to support the financing, some part of it that you're trying to get. But the way you get the financing is by having, first of all, site control. The second of all, a design that demonstrates, thirdly, that the financial projections you're making, in other words, the revenue the facility is going to throw off, will actually happen. And so what you want to have then is a financial partner that has enough faith in what you're doing, and also it doesn't hurt that you're affiliated with Major League Baseball as the holder of the rights to the franchise called the Oakland Athletics, all right? So that they, being the bond underwriter, in this case Goldman Sachs, has enough comfort fronting you $1.5 billion to get the facility built, and any other extra monies that may call for it to be built in the way that it's supposed to be, including change orders, all right? You're not laying out your own cash. Sure, there are people who come along and say, well, you know what, I'll put in $100 million or $200 million, but the idea is to reduce the annual debt service that the bond issue produces. What is the debt service? It's the amount of money, like a loan, that you have to pay annually. It's actually over a period of months, but over a year, right? And with interest. And so you want to reduce that size so that the revenue that's being produced that is earmarked for the bond issue has a better, both public and private, have a better chance of allowing you to pay for the bond issue. Now, in the case of the private bond issue, you're talking about paying off Goldman based on $1.5 billion over a period of years that's going to go beyond 30. And so overall, now, actually, no, it varies. They'll do that in a serial fashion, okay? But it's not like the Raider bond issue or the Raider loan, or it's not like the loan that was structured for the Raiders after Sheldon Adelson bolted because they didn't like that they weren't getting their share of revenue. In that instance, it was supposed to be a 5-year term, but it got extended because, as I thought it was going to happen when it was announced, they weren't going to, and the pandemic impeded them from getting enough money to pay it off over a reasonable period of time as projected. But hey, Goldman is not of the business of losing clients that happen to be Major League Baseball teams or NFL football organizations. That's not happening, all right? They will bend over backwards to make these deals work. That's what they do. And so it says of Vlad, his family has $7 billion. Well, again, you don't need, that's good backing, okay? But you can design it so that the bond underwriter takes over the facility. If you're building this in Harris County in Texas, you could not you could not use the general fund as backing. You could not do that. And so what happens in the Harris County situation is did happen a couple of times after the 2008 crash. You simply have to restructure the bond issue in a way that can be affordable to the debt service. That's it. All right. Harris County is happy to work with you on that, but do not put it on the taxpayer. Okay. So there are a number of ways to get this done. This is facts. It says, in the naming rights itself will be considered lucrative. Yeah. Is this the Opera House of Australia? No. The naming rights, okay, I got that one. Says, can't wait to see this on TV. It's going to be incredible. Mate, Kate has, Zach and I agree with you. And Vlad says, this looks like the ballpark takes up the whole site. What's in this for Bally's? They're partners. They're partners. This is, you have to remember something, and something that really needs to be kept in mind here. Sports gambling is legal in Nevada. All of the A's fans out here that are screaming about this, you consistently forget that. I don't understand why. It's mind-boggling. Sports gambling is going to bring $20 million annually to this facility alone. Okay? And remember, the way this facility is designed, it's going to have a lot more than baseball in it. Shops, restaurants, and so on, to serve as the revenue producers to those 17 collection points of revenue to pay off that $120 million bond issue annually, which takes a debt service of, if memory serves, roughly around $8 million over, if you want to spread it out over a 30-year period. Actually, it's less period or somewhere in there. Actually, less than that. Doesn't even take that long. So bottom line is, I can do that with a ticket surcharge and get away and charge $5 for a ticket surcharge and do the same thing, right? There are a number of ways to slice that apple when you have an apple that's only $120 million as opposed to $620 million or $1 billion, right? Says 2030 World Series champion, the Las Vegas A's. Can't wait to go to Raiders and A's games in the state-of-the-art facilities. Beautiful buildings. Yeah. What do they have in common? Oakland. All right. I mean, are you understanding this? Are you understanding how messed up this makes us look? Because we are. And no one wants to deal with it. They just want to, no one wants to fix this. Except me. I'm coming along. I'm trying to get the JPA to have a path toward what a stadium authority is and behaves, or how a stadium authority is and behaves, all right? That's all I'm trying to do, folks. I love my city. This is ridiculous that we have to go through this. We don't. You understand what I'm saying? We don't. You understand what I'm saying? We don't, all right? And you guys in the media ought to be ashamed of yourselves for not singing my tune, period, okay? Period, all right? People about the ceiling, but the entire glass wall center field is amazing. Never done before. Absolutely. I mean, this is something else, isn't it? This is, something else. It's purely and simply that. Okay? Purely and simply that. Hold on a second here. Trying to get, maybe we can give one more stab at it. Let me see. Maybe. I am trying to get Mr. Garcia, if I'm lucky. But it is 156 there. And maybe. Nope, not able to. Okay. So let me read to you the press release that was sent to me. And in fact, what I'll do is I will show it. Here, I'm going to, actually, I'm not going to show. Yeah, I will show it because then that gives context. Let me show it here. Let me take this one away for a second and then share screen with this. There, okay? And read that. Yeah. So This is big and HNTB win competition to design new athletics. See if I can move this over, or maybe pop it out. This is pop outable. It's not. All right. Okay. Press release. Okay. So anyway, big and HNTB win competition to design new athletics ballpark in Las Vegas. And it reads shaped by its location. There's got to be like, oh, you know what? This is not. There it is. Okay, that's a little wider. Let me expand that in terms of size so you can see it better. Zoom in, and then yeah, I'm just gonna go with it, and I'll just go with the pictures, and we'll start there. Okay, this you can see. Big in HNTB, win competition design, new athletics ballpark in Las Vegas. That's what this reads. Okay, and then it goes on to say, and I'll go down here and I will read this. It says, shaped by its location in the Las Vegas Strip, the new ballpark for the Athletics Major League Baseball team and designed by Big Bjarke Ingles Group for the entertainment capital of the world, exuding an outdoor feel with panoramic views of the city's skyline. The 33,000 capacity covered ballpark will sit on 9 acres. There you go, 9 acres on Las Vegas Boulevard between Tropicana Avenue and Reno Avenue. Designed by Big in collaboration with HNTB, and that is over here. The new home for the Athletics has an expected opening date of spring 2028. The project builds on a long-standing collaboration between Big and the Athletics, dating back to a different ballpark design presented in Oakland, California, in 2018. They're referring to Howard Terminal. So this is yet another angle of the design I didn't include, and I need to download that while I can. So that's downloaded. Yep. But as you can see, it has the same. This angle is got to be the west angle going, because the north angle is actually to the left where the windows are, and the south angles to the right. So we're looking from the north into to this facility. All right. And then it reads, the new ballpark's roof is accentuated by 5 overlapping shells resembling baseball pennants, paying homage to the sport. For players, these arched pennants will attenuate direct sunlight glare while welcoming direct natural light through northern-oriented clerestory windows, as they're called. Now, what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to break out the picture so you can see it, and then talk, because I would imagine you'd rather see that than words and me, words I'm presenting you, right? So let's have some fun with the new angle that I showed you, and that is this one. Actually, let's have some fun with this angle, because this tells more than the other one. All right, that one. This is your basic angle. All right, I'll continue to read it from there. Read the press release. Then it goes on to say that Big's revolutionary design, created in collaboration with HNTB, represents a captivating ballpark concept, seamlessly blending innovation and technology with what goes on here, with an enhanced fan experience. We are very excited to share the work of our design team with the entire Southern Nevada community. And that's John Fisher, managing partner and owner of the Athletics. Then the press release goes on to say, another quote, our design team for the new Las Vegas home for the A's is conceived in response to the unique culture and climate of the city. 5 pennant arches enclose the ballpark, shielding from the Nevada sun while opening to the soft daylight from the north. A giant window frames a majestic view of the life of the Strip and the iconic New York hotel skyline. All direct sunlight is blocked, while all the soft daylight, the ambient light too, is allowed to wash the field in natural light. The resultant architecture is like a spherical armadillo shaped by the local climate, while opening and inviting the life of the Strip to enter and explore. In the city of spectacle, the A's armadillo is designed for passive shading and natural light. I started laughing when I said armadillo because when I was thinking of Ben Garcia's design, it's an armadillo, right? This is Ben, okay? So, all right. And so the architectural response to the Nevada climate generating a new kind of vernacular icon in Vegas. And that's from Bjarke Ingles, and founder and creative director of Big. Hey, you know what? Ben Garcia deserves a big check from this. I mean, huge. As elevated outdoor plaza connects to the bridges over Las Vegas and Tropicana Boulevard, directing fans to the baseball's main concourse, where a large glass atrium pulls the city into the venue. This entrance sequence will immediately orient fans in the ballpark, allowing views of the entire field and seating bowl upon entry while optimizing wayfinding and circulation. And so then it goes on to read, secondary north and south entrances are marked by bouncing arches to increase visitor accessibility and promote a connection to the outdoors. Once inside, fans are met with bright, open areas, which also will allow, or atria, which also will allow and to serve as multi-purpose exhibition spaces to showcase international and local artists. The Athletics Ballpark is an immense, immersive fan experience. Its tiered design and intimacy, inspired by historic ballparks like Fenway and Wrigley, with split upper and lower bowls, bring fans closer to the action, even closer than traditional ballparks, and provide clear sight lines from every seat. The ballpark is currently designed to feature an 18,000 square foot jumbotron, which would make it the largest screen in Major League Baseball. An air conditioning system distributes at the seats rather than from above, making cooling more efficient and energy conscious. Quote, our new A's ballpark in Las Vegas is designed to celebrate baseball and become a destination for fans from all over the world. The ballpark will be a climate-controlled, state-of-the-art facility that will house a variety of events and guest experiences. By opening up the roof structure, we're capturing the energy of the iconic Las Vegas Strip and creating a unique synergy between its events and the surrounding city. We believe the new Vegas ballpark will push the boundaries for enjoying baseball and contribute to a more interactive and spectacular urban experience in Las Vegas. And that is by Daniel Sunland, partner with Big Architects. Then the press release goes down to conclude by stating this quote: Las Vegas is where the imagination runs free, characterized by bespoke, one-of-a-kind experiences. The Oakland or the A's new Las Vegas Ballpark will be filled with unique settings for the social interplay between sport, spectacle, and entertainment. And that's by Lance Nichols, the principal in charge at HNTB. And it goes on to read that the press release does. The athletics ballpark will have the potential to double as a venue for hosting concerts, conferences, and other events. Future development is expected to surround the ballpark, including an on-site hotel and casino. The size is 33,000 capacity, located in Las Vegas. Clients athletic, collaborators, HNTB, Thornton Tomasetti, Henderson Engineers, CA Icon, Mortensen McCarthy, Teller 10, RWDI, Kinsley Horn, Systematics, WJHW, Flyhouse, Ducey, Duncan, Ed Rother Consulting, Morion, Negative, and Mirror. The big team consists of partners in charge, Bjarke Ingles and Dan Sunland, project manager Alan Coxley, project leaders Frankie Sharp, Ian Coslesa, and Ricardo Palma. The team consists of, for big, Ahmad Tabaki, Alan Mado, Bernardo Schumacher, Katrina Nelson, Don Chin, Douglas Allgood, Emma Baxlova, Honky Wu, Hudson Paris, Jeff Tao, Margaret Tilpa, Matthew Lau, Paul Herbley, Poria Alavud, Single One Thomas McMurray, and Yabo Ro Tanaka. The HNTB team consists of principal in charge Lance Nichols, project designer Brad Elbers, project leaders Emily Lockhart and Jeff Good. The team is Stephanie Shurdet, Brian Rincon, Phil Perkins, Donovan Brook, Jack Sweezy, Demekins Dora, and Robbie Powell. And I think it's horrible that Ben Garcia is not listed here, especially since basically the design screams Ben Garcia did. Now, for those of you who are saying, okay, show me what Ben Garcia did, I'm going to do that right now before I go further, and then I'll get to your comments. Let me stop that screen here and go to his Ben Garcia Stadium 51. 51 Google search. There it is. Interesting. Stadium 51 blog. He uses sites this podcast. Wait a minute. This is interesting. Wait a minute. This is not the Stadium 51 that I know. Wait a second. Stadium 51 portfolio. 51 Garcia. Okay, here it is. There it is. Okay, now let me show you this. Right here. This is the original plan. The Vegas Death Star. You can't have a Death Star without a starfighter. And so this was his. You see that? It's the armadillo. All right. This was the original design that was proposed. It's more enclosed. It doesn't, sing out to the environment the way the Bjarke Ingles design, HNTB design does. All right. But as you can see, if you take a look at these renderings and massing studies, like look at the scoreboard, right? So you can start to get an idea of how this really began to inform how the design team should think about developing a Las Vegas ballpark. That was the idea. This is Las Vegas. And he designed it more of like again, the motif of a futuristic ship ready to take off. And here is his thought, completely enclosed. It didn't address the Las Vegas Strip at all, but look at the roof. And the idea was to have these designs on the roof, right? But it was to be retractable. So you could open it up and then have fireworks on the left, but then on the right, you would have, of course, the enclosed ballpark facility. And then there are the massing studies. Now here is, you see, this is open. So what he developed is not far off in terms of what you eventually see from what they created. It's very similar. Very similar. And so you would have to ask, what happened to Ben's design, right? What did they do and why? Why was he cut out of it? Okay. Now, at the end of the day, I have to say that they took his concept and they really brought it. They really brought it into a new phase. A new phase. But I do think that considering that Ben even laid out how we'll look for 30,000 seats. He tried to show how it would fit on different sites, like for the Phillies, the Padres, the Braves, and so on. All right. This is Pirates, Dodgers, Athletics. See that? Coliseum, Giants, Mariners. And then this is the original armadillo design. Roof closed, and this is with the roof open, was the idea. And then his design is arguably more costly given the mechanics of it than what's produced, but exciting nonetheless. So he did great massing studies, asked what ifs in terms of the orientation of the facility. And he really gave it, he brought it almost to the point where it eventually reaches that Sydney Opera House look. Okay. This is Vlad, this is Ben Garcia's design. So we have that, right? So we have that, we've taken a look at that. And then we look back and we then look at the current facility that we're talking about. And I dare you to really think, okay, this is not Ben Garcia's design at all at its basis. They took Ben Garcia's design, they refer to it as the armadillo, but they really made it more dramatic. They endeavored, instead of being an innie, they made it an outie. That's what they did. Okay. All right. And so, and I don't agree here. All right. I disagree with. And I disagree with it because of the fact that you have the same concept. And Ben, if you take a look at a read of my interview with Ben, he talked about the need to shield the facility from the hot light that exists in Las Vegas. So even with the retractable roof, only one part was open. The rest was shielded by these, what they, in their version, are petals. This is a more elegant design based on what Ben came up with. All right. Is it exact? Of course it's not exact, but it's close enough to warrant comparison. And I believe, okay, that Ben set the tone for something, which is what he wanted to do, that said, this is a ballpark for Major League Baseball in Las Vegas, okay? It says the A's rendering show a fixed roof design, not a retractable roof. It looks fundamentally and operationally different. Look, don't get me wrong, that's a really idiotic statement, okay? And I'm sorry to be that way. All right, you're just being that way. You're being bad, Vlad the Impaler. I'm going to be Zenny the Impaler. Okay, it's like this. All right, fixed roof design can look like a retractable roof because they both have a roof to start with. All right, if you look at the shapes of them and you look at the layering effect, they both look like the armadillo. Ben's was the first armadillo, so I completely disagree with you. All right, absolutely. I'm impaling your point of view. Not you, of course, but I just don't agree. Okay, and so he says, Vlad, I'd say it was Ben Garcia's armadillo idea, but the design is very Vegas. Right. They took Ben's concept and improved upon it. And not only that, I can just tell you this because it happened. Ben got fired we didn't get fired, he got released from Gensler because of the pandemic. He was looking around. That's how he came up with the concept. I'm put him in touch directly with Dave Cavell now about 2 years ago. And so not too many months later, Ben wound up working for HNTB. Okay. And he couldn't talk. And the reason he couldn't talk is obvious. If you start looking at what he came up with and what came out of this. All right. Egos and all this other stuff. So you have to say, this is Ben's doing. Without Ben Garcia, they would have been lost at sea. Ben gave them a way to think about doing Major League Baseball in Las Vegas. No question. Now let me get to the rest of your comments. All right. And so let's see here. Let's see here. Trying to get says people forget about the ceiling, but the entire glass wall center field is amazing. Never done that before. I've got that one. Vlad says no seating in left or center field seems bold. I wouldn't make that statement because I'm not sure. I want to see a model before I make that determination or another angle. Nathaniel says 33,000 seats. Imagine the cost of a World Series ticket in this venue. Well, it was supposed to be smaller than that. So think about that, okay? There could come a time in Vegas where you could have baseball in the afternoon, boxing at night, and football the next day on the same weekend. I want to come back to this for a second. Look, you do realize that the Athletics reduced the size of the Coliseum Stadium to 36,000 seats, right? So if the Athletics would have a World Series in Oakland, it would only be 33,000 more capacity than this one. That's it. 3,000 more in capacity than this one. That's it. I mean, 33,000. Okay. But the difference between, of course, 36,000 and 33,000 is 3,000. Vegas Mark says there could come a time in Vegas where you could have baseball in the afternoon, boxing at night, and football the next day on the same weekend, or baseball during the day on a Sunday, and then Sunday night football. Right? That's why they call this the sports district. All of this makes that possible in Las Vegas. Why is Las Vegas bet so heavily on sports? Because it offers the ability to draw people from vast distances to come to Sin City to spend their money. That's why. Just like conventions and everything else, sports falls right into that. And sports is a huge economic development generator for another reason. It is the free advertisement that facilities like this, I'm not talking about the design right now, but I'm talking about their ability to host tentpole events like a World Series or a Super Bowl here, and thus draw millions and millions of eyeballs into the host city, which happens to be Las Vegas. What is that? That is advertising. Free advertising for Las Vegas that in the internet world is of more value, higher value than it has ever been before. I estimate now for the Super Bowl, Las Vegas got at least $100 million, if not $200 million in free advertisements money, ad money, just by hosting the Super Bowl. And it carries through the next day with photographs on our new website, NFL News by Zenny62. We still have YouTube videos from Super Bowl 58 popping up. That's free advertisement for Las Vegas. So all of that activity sells the Las City, it sells the county, it sells the region, and helps to build it as a metropolitan center. That is the value of sports that many people do not talk about when they're taking a look at it. Economists who don't understand urban environments don't know how to measure what I'm talking about. They don't think that way. Even Roger Knoll admitted that to me when I was debating him in Oakland about 10, I would say 12 years ago. And so, 8 years ago. So, and Roger see my Oakland baseball sim world, the first set of sim games that I made around my first company, Sports Business Simulations. Roger Knoll is a famous economist. You have to understand how cities work to understand how to develop a facility that generates revenue from sports activities within their environment. Because at the end of the day, you're drawing 33,000 people, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 to your area. You better have something for them to do that involves spending money, well, arguably at an affordable rate. Otherwise, you don't want the spigot to be turned down because you don't get as much out of it. So Vlad says, hidden HVAC system. Looks like they have hidden stadium lights too, or maybe they won't play night games. I think that's a good question. Let's find out what they say about that. Or maybe it's a whole new type of lighting system. Maybe it's some type of translucent built-in lighting system. I don't know. But it's a very good question to raise that deserves an answer. So Vlad says, oh, they don't want night games. It's Vegas after all. Yep. A Final Four maybe? Yep. It looks like nothing like his design, in my opinion. We've been through that. Okay, we've been through that. All right. Vegas Mark says we've been through that. And the design is very fitting. Armadillos are desert animals. It says Allegiant Stadium is not retractable. Nope. But the lanai doors are retractable. Okay. And the lanai doors create the open air feel. I think the left field design is trying to replicate the natural light environment. That's absolutely true. Yes. Artie Moss says the LED panels can get very bright. So obviously here, the A's have created a crowd-pleasing, or I should say more accurately, HNTB and Bjarke Ingles have created a crowd-pleasing experience. And that looks good from a number of angles. And I too would like to see exactly how the hotel lines up with this. So we've got to wait for the next set of drawings, which are supposed to show just that. This is a release happening a few days earlier than I expected. I thought maybe they would happen on the 8th. All right. So I'm going to make some calls and find out what that situation is like and how I can get copies of those drawings. Okay. And so Artie Moss says, better than I expected. I can see my seats. So, and I'll try to get others on here to talk about this. This is a very exciting development for Las Vegas, for the central, for the Southern Valley as well. And another, I hate to use that term again, linchpin example of how Las Vegas is truly developer friendly. Now the next questions are, how will the community benefits agreement come together? How is it coming together? And how are they going to be rolling out the documents approval process when the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meetings commence yet again this month. And so, see here. It's better. Do I think this will actually fit? And I see no reason why not. Yeah, I mean, it is. I've said that before. Yeah. SoFi Stadium-esque exterior. It does have a lot of references to what was built in that instance. I believe. Hold on a second. Let me spin a hypothesis here. Oh, by the way, did you see what happened with the kids breaking into the Clippers arena? Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh, stadium architect. Okay, so HKS is the architect for SoFi, and that material does look very much like the material that's used here. I need to confirm that. Robert Puffer says that is not even close enough to warrant on the acreage. What? There is way more than 9 acres. Yeah, the height seems awfully high for being next to an airport. That height is approximately 270 feet, I would say, just eyeballing it, knowing that area as I do. So they're not, let me put it this way. The way it's designed, it's not opening toward the airport. The FAA's concern would be more, if anything, that the light was pointing at the airport and the runway than opposite, okay? So that would be far more concerned with the FAA than the height from in this area, especially since what it's replacing, it's not taller than, it's not something where, oh, it's really outsized, hotel. So I don't believe they're going to get any pushback from that. And they're going to get some applause because of how it looks from the runway side and the fact that it's not throwing out any amount of light of all toward the airport. So that's not a problem. And Nathaniel says if they add water features, then yeah. Says this may be the dumbest ownership group in sports history. I don't know why. Look, they're looking pretty smart right now. So, one could say that, hey, isn't that kind of a stupid comment to make like right now? I mean, pick an episode where they really are doing something truly stupid to, get agreement. But I'm not going to agree with you. They have been very smart, deliberate, and quiet about this along the way. Last says during the hearings for the public financing bill, this for the stadium, the A's representatives kept reiterating we have an retractable roof. Okay, it doesn't. So what? I mean, I don't see the big deal. All right, that's so what? Okay, I mean, don't go chasing rabbit holes. Don't go down rabbit holes. All right, because Vlad, you mentioned things. Some of the points you made were good ones, right? But it's like you're quite literally just shooting out maddeningly and dramatically, frantically because you're upset that this exists. That's what it looks like. It's like you're going, okay, chill, okay? Because just enjoy it for what it is. It is a great design. It really is. If it's true about the same height as the MGM Grand, then it shouldn't be a problem. No. I've already coordinated with the FAA. I would be surprised if they didn't. Left field points toward New York, New York. Right. Why did this take so long then? Did it? In terms of being released? Because I know that this thing was out last October. And again, what happened was there were people in Las Vegas who they wanted to evaluate it first. They wanted to basically get their 2 cents in before it was released to the public. I don't mean for power reasons or ego reasons. I mean for reasons of sponsorship, for determining if this design can be used in a way a sponsor wants, for determining how it can be used, for having all those conversations in quiet, silence, without the public noise about it. And then moving forward with concepts they came up with, and once they settled up on how that would be, they said, okay, now go ahead and release it. That's what happens. And you have to remember that when you're involved in something this complex, it is very much like an ensemble cast in a movie where the cast happens to be 2,000 people. You have to consider all of the roles of those 2,000 people and how they best play their parts so that the ultimate outcome is a feature movie that is Oscar worthy. That's the biggest comparison, the best comparison I can offer. So then DJ Henderson says, I'm loving the design. Plus, it being indoors is great. I agree. I love dome stadiums for sports. Rob L says, Gaming Leisure Properties Incorporated said the timeline is what they expected. Yep. Smoke Andretti writes, as a Vegas resident myself who is into what gets built out here, I believe myself, if they build anything, it should be an Allegiant Stadium style version, black glass walls, an ETFE of ES Con Field in Japan. Interesting. Well, too late for that now. David Jackson says, Oakland fans just refuse to put any blame on the city government. It's just mind-numbing to me. Me too, David. I think it's because, I'm just going to be very blunt, there's some people just don't like to think. They like everything simple, and then they get grabbed by the mainstream media. They get grabbed by people who tell them what they want to hear. Oh, it's the owner's fault, as opposed to it's your government's fault. It is your government's fault. Your government got you in this situation. This makes no sense, but okay. Locals will not go to location to watch. Have my word. Oh, no, that's ridiculous. Human beings like monumental design. This is a monumental design. The very nature of the way people are says, I got to see this thing. I got to see this thing. All right? That will happen. The scale that this takes on will attract attention as it's being built. It is, remember, just down the street from the Cosmopolitan and the Bellagio, next to MGM and New York, and Excalibur. It is part of the neighborhood fabric of the Las Vegas Strip. Believe me. Locals will want to see it because a lot of locals work on the Strip. Don't forget that. Then there are the tourists. This is going to be a dramatically huge event. It just is, okay? And right. He says, and I'm trying to say is that I'm skeptical of this design. It's not what they said it was going to be at all. It's not 9 acres. It's not a retractable roof. There's no hotel casino on the site. No, that's not true. They're not facts. There's going to be a hotel casino on the site. Fact. They said that the A's are able to use more than 9 acres. Fact. All right? You have to read. The problem, Vlad, is you don't want to read the fine print. All right? You don't. Okay? Because you'd rather come out with this bullshit you're putting out, because that's what it is, and then spread that all over the internet because you don't like the idea. This thing is getting built. Why don't you focus on the fact that Oakland screwed up? Why don't you focus on the fact that astronomy or government in Oakland's not working? Why don't you focus on, do you live in Oakland? Okay, I'm wondering, do you care about Oakland? Because some people who claim to be A's fans, they don't care about Oakland at all. You can get upset all you want to. All right? But the simple fact of the matter is that if I go to, and all I have to do is go to Google, and I go to search Google, and I type Bally's and press, and then I get hit news, and I scroll down. That's for February. For 2023, and all news, and I keep going down, and I get to Bally's GLPI and the Oakland Athletics reach transformational agreement enabling state-of-the-art ballpark on Las Vegas Strip. All right. And then I get down here and I say, and I do a little find in page search. And I find this. Bally's and GLPI will assign approximately 9 acres of the 35-acre site located on Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana Avenue to the Oakland Athletics or a related stadium authority. The new ballpark will accommodate approximately 30,000 fans. The groundbreaking agreement is subject to the passing of legislation for public financing related agreements and approval of relocation by Major League Baseball. As part of the agreement, Bally's retains the ability to assign the rights to all aspects of this development and has received material interest from developer parties. Okay? Flexibility. So they decided to give flexibility to the A's. And hey, obviously that's what they did do. That's what they did do. So I do not agree with you regarding this at all. At all. And that's Bally's. All right. So that doesn't begin to discount the other voice in all of this. Gaming and leisure. All right. And Gaming and Leisure had its own statement to release on this matter some time ago, which pointed to the ability. All right. But then Gaming and Leisure said that they applauded, how did they use the term here? Applauds Major League Baseball's landmark decision to bring the MLB Athletics to Las Vegas. And it goes down to discuss that the letter of intent provides for the Athletics to be granted fee ownership by Gaming and Leisure properties of approximately 9 acres of Gaming and Leisure properties, 35-acre site for construction of the stadium. Bally's and GLPI have agreed to transfer the stadium site after the satisfaction of various conditions in exchange for the benefits that the stadium is expected to contribute to a new integrated casino and entertainment resort that will be developed at the site, Las Vegas and surrounding areas. The letter of intent stipulates the Athletics will assume all costs associated with the design, development, and construction of the stadium, and Bally's Corporation shall assume all costs for the entertainment and casino, resort, and hotel. And so, again, there's flexibility in these statements. And once designs come together, and once people begin to evaluate them, they say, you know what? We're going to let you have a little bit more than that 9 acres you said you needed, okay? Rod says, look, locals go to the T-Mobile, so point locals don't go is absurd. Yeah. Smoke says T-Mobile is a different story. Well, why is it a different story? Smoke, why? Because I would buy season tickets. RD Moss says, as locals go to the strip often, another Bay Area talking point. Yep. So yeah, T-Mobile a block away. It is. The sports district. Smoke says, and local will be priced out as well as some like Allegiant. Not for every game. I can't see, not for every contest. No. For every baseball game? No. Nathaniel says, indoors at the summer, in the summer, with a great view and no cigarette smoke like a casino. Come on. This place will be filled up. Yep. Justina says, if this was built in Howard Terminal, the Oakland proponents would be punching the air right now. Yep. That's right. Yep. If Alameda County took the lead in dealing with the A's as to the ballpark issue, do you think it would have been a different outcome? No. And the reason I don't is because of a scene I will never forget that was played out during the second hearings with the city of Oakland present in the county of Alameda. The county of Alameda used the same numbers that Century Urban presented regarding tax increments, numbers that I said were flawed simply because Century Urban didn't even bother to use of the 45-year bonding period, the whole bonding period. They only used 19 years of it. So if the county were seasoned like I am and knew what the consultant was presenting, they would have recognized that difference. Now, Century Urban claims the reason why they didn't actually spell it out, they simply had another panel that said that the fact that the redevelopment area in Oakland for downtown was still spending out money for bond issue meant that they couldn't start getting tax increment until after that was paid off. Now, here's where that's wrong, folks. The boundary for the redevelopment project area does not include Howard Terminal. You hear what I'm saying? Let me say this one more time, okay? It does not include Howard Terminal. So you would have to be a bonehead to make that kind of mistake. I called Century Urban and asked them why they did this. They didn't get back to me. So I had I called them 3 times. I had no problem tarring them and feathering them on my media after I gave them an opportunity to directly address my discovery, because they just took $1 billion of revenue off the table. And the city didn't recognize it, and the county didn't either. The county used their same numbers. And that's why I'm saying to you, we got the same outcome, because those numbers led both parties to the same conclusion that they could get as much money from grants as doing the redevelopment project area, which was completely bullheadedly wrong. All right? No, absolutely. No, absolutely not. We have a really screwed up staff infrastructure that needs to be re-educated regarding how to do tax increment financing in the modern age. As David Malmuth, the man who I interviewed, an interview you should watch, who is the developer of the home of the Oscars, said to me, tax increment financing is probably the most powerful financial tool ever developed. And I really encourage you to check out my interview, my hour-long interview with the man who built the home of the Oscars, David Malmuth, okay? And has done some other really incredible projects like New Amsterdam Theater in New York, okay? New Amsterdam Theater in New York. Excuse me. Just making sure I get this. Yeah, so David Malmuth, a second. It's live. Whoops. Here. If I can, 3, 2, 1. There. All right. So just 1 second. This is, I really want you all, when you have a chance, to check out my interview again. This man is David Malmuth is the man who built the home of the Oscars, Hollywood Divine, now called Ovation. Please check it out. Now going back to the current show, okay? Great interview, fantastic interview. If I do say so myself, it was one of those bucket list things. You know what I mean? Something I wanted to do, and we'll switch it up a little bit. How about that? Right? Ta-da! Okay. So let me get your comments here. Nathaniel says indoors is summer with a great view. I got the cigarette part out, and I got this. I answered your question. The Smoke says this will be built. The construction and contracts assigned. I'm just a local pushing for a different look. It needs to match what's here already. Okay. Daniel says the Vegas Loop will be added to a future stadium for the future station for the A Stadium. I want the monorail. I can't help it. He says a future expansion station. Got it. Where's the hotel in the renderings? They are back here. I believe they should be, but I'll ask and find out where it's coming. I actually said I would do that, so I'm going to do that. I owe you that much, Vlad. Why do you keep calling yourself the Impala? Change it to the Impaler. Be the Impaler if you're going to do that. Smoke says, petition for a new stadium design coming soon. This is funny. David Jack says the renderings are not a problem. They almost always get changed by the time it's ready to go. Will fit. We'll see. They are ready. Well, the way things are going is that the drawings will change now with respect to what actually needs to be built in a certain way. But when you get to this stage, they're not going to change much at all. That's just the nature of this process. And Joseph and Pala isn't that on Bally's? Why would the A show renderings of their ballpark with an unknown hotel design? Well, they're supposed to be integrated, Nathaniel. And so Vlad is right about that. They're doing a private placement, and John Fisher did say that they wanted a hotel design that was more integral to what they're presenting. And I believe that's going to be the next step. So Vlad says it would be a hidden hotel like the HVAC system, the stadium lights. Why not? Now, I would be for that. I don't want something sticking out, that looks wildly different than my facility if I'm going for a private placement. So, yeah, why not? So, David Jackson, hopefully, says, Artie Moss says to Smoke, this is Nevada. We don't do that stuff. Rob Bell says, Smoke, you need to go to Oakland to get anyone to sign your petition. Smoke says there's too much going on and needs to match. So you mean in terms of the hotel? That'll happen. T-Mobile has way more events. That's why it's different. That's why Locals Glow says, all right. But my point is, Smoke, look. This is, see, now there's some contradictory stuff going on. This is an enclosed facility. Okay. So as an enclosed facility, it has the ability to take on a number of different kinds of events. And so you say way more events. I will bet you the A's facility has way more events than T-Mobile when all is said and done, counting baseball and everything else that can be done there. It's also of different size and shape, okay? TJ Henderson says, Smoke, you're wrong. It needs to stand out to the strip strip. Would look crazy with a bunch of circular domes all over the place. Yeah, it would. He's right. Rob L says, Smoke, totally wrong. Just give it up. Smoke says, R.D. Moss, true, laugh out. I can't, but it can't hurt. At least you got a good nature about it. Smoke says, Rob L, if you like it, then why did you get so bothered so much? Oh, my goodness. Why do I feel like this needs to be an actual arena? Not arena, but like a Zoom room. Nah, a StreamYard room. StreamYard should have the ability for me to bring in 20 different people at once, or 43, right? It says matching allegiant is the dumbest idea, says Rob. I believe that it's not. Look, Las Vegas, if what we're saying, Smoke, was the case, then why don't you say that Allegiant should look like something else, right? So why don't you say that the Venetian and the Palazzo should look like what did they come after? The Wynn. I think the Wynn came after, or let's even reverse that. Let's just say either way. Why shouldn't one look like the other, right? Here's another example, I think even better. You do realize that Las Vegas Smoke and Vlad is all about product differentiation. If you guys are really from Las Vegas, I don't know if you are, but I'm not. But I am a fan of Las Vegas and have been for a long, long time. I distinctly remember a court case where the Wynn organization sued the builders of Resorts World for copying their design. Hence, a dramatic differentiation process ensued. Okay? So that example alone should say to you, you don't want one building looking like the other in Las Vegas. That doesn't fly with the developer of the first building. Because the developer of the first building wants their facility, the developers wants their facility to be unique among all the buildings in Las Vegas, so that people can know how to recognize it to get there. All right, that's what's happening. Okay, so, and Smoke says you don't understand urban planning. Well, no, Smoke, I can make an argument that you don't understand urban planning either in the Las Vegas context. Urban planning is not, because we do it in this way in this city, contextually, you don't do it in this, you do the same in another city. No. I have my undergraduate degree from Texas, Arlington. My focus was urban economics and urban planning. I have my master's degree at Cal from city planning. So I think I know a little bit about this. Planning is done with respect to the context of culture that it occurs within. So if a Chicago culture says, and Chicago culture does say, you build within context. I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, which should differentiate your argument from what's happening here. And it is the Harold Washington Library competition of the early 90s. And in that, you had the following architects competing: Helmut Jahn, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, Thomas Beebe, and who's Edward Clarkson? I forgot Edward's name there. Okay, you have 4 architects or starchitects, and I'm probably leaving out a 5th. But the design I favored was by the same person who also developed United Airlines. That was Helmut Jahn. I'm a big fan of Helmut Jahn's work. Okay, but Helmut Jahn didn't win. Helmut Jahn had an ultra-modern design, and the requirement that the task force for the project set about was that the train, the L, I grew up in Chicago, the L had to be part of the design. You couldn't get rid of it. You had to address it. You either went through your design and you had to stop, or it went through your design, you didn't have a stop for it. Whatever you did, you had to address it, okay? And so Helmut Jan addressed it by lifting everything off the main access floor by a good 2 stories. Like it was all floating in air. It looked like what Helmut Jan intended it to be, an industrial factory for learning. Thomas Beebe, on the other hand, created a more contextual design that fit within what Chicago architecture was considered to be, with large, which the implied floors within this large curtain wall that's brick. Everything of a human scale, as we called it in architecture. He won. It was disappointing to a lot of people, including me. Why? Because it was a signal that Chicago was not ready to move on at the time to a more modernist form of architecture of the time. All right? In the context of the Harold Washington Library competition. Okay? Las Vegas presents a different environment where it's okay to differentiate. It's okay to establish your own context, your own building, your own approach. All with the idea of saying, look at me, I am here, I am different from that over there. That is Las Vegas. So when you say Bob L doesn't know urban planning, you owe him an apology. He does. He does. Okay? Urban planning is not one cultural size fits all. It's different by city and place. That's why. All right. Rob L says, Smoke, you think you know more than all the planners working in the city? Laugh out loud. DJ says, huh? And RD says, maybe it's all the smoke. Rob says, correction, working with the county and stadium authority. Smoke says, no, I don't actually. I just have an opinion and you're bothered, so eat it. Smoke says, I actually live in Vegas. Smoke says, I'm born and raised with family in the city and its workings. I can state an opinion. It's the USA. Well, that's true. But we can disagree. Smoke says, respect. DJ Henderson, same. Some will like it, some will not. Zach says, the A's are moving. Bay Area needs to stop. Bay Area BS needs to stop. Ryan Bear says, this is the Sydney, Australia. Are you Michael Coburna? So Zach B says, Bay Area fans should just face the facts. The Athletics are moving. Bay Area fans should have faced the facts that this is all the fault of Oakland government. All right. Smoke says, I take you up on that. Okay. Scott says, where is the hotel? And more importantly, where is the financing? Again, the financing is not a problem. It's being formed. And the idea that John Fisher has to pay for it out of pocket is wrong. Now, do you want to have, collateral backing? Sure. But you're not expected to pay for the stadium, and no one who is a billionaire pays out of pocket for their stadium. You get someone else's money, you borrow it, you pay it off over time with the revenue that comes from the facility you're building. All right. Smoke says the Legion is the best looking thing since City Center. See, you have to have that. Yeah, I love both. I love all of these. Okay. Financing has been discussed. Fisher said mostly from family and seeking local minority investors. That financing is not going to come from them. Okay. All right. Those minority investors are not going to pay all that They're backing for what Goldman provides upfront that will then be paid off by the revenue the facility produces in a private placement financing. Ugh, Jesus. Sometimes people just look at things and they I guess they read what they want to read, right? Oh, it's almost time for me to stop. Raiders had a better chance of staying in Oakland than the A's. Isn't that true, Z? No, the Raiders were headed out. The A's had a better chance of staying. You see, we don't have, let me put it this way, we do not have a clear-cut reason to sue the Athletics. The Athletics did their homework, and they perfectly tied their reasons for leaving to what the city of Oakland did not do and yet said on paper it was said it was going to do and didn't. All right. By contrast, the Raiders had no such issue with Oakland. They set up, the Raiders did, a fake stadium authority czar named Larry, it wasn't Beal, but Larry McNeil. Larry McNeil. He was the stadium authority representative for the Niners, and they borrowed him as a consultant. But they used him to work with an unknown Claudia Capio and feed her spreadsheets, which I have a copy of, and emails, which I have a copy of, all of which stopped from him this September 16th of 2016. Just cold turkey, okay? And they weren't getting anywhere. If you read the emails, it was like they weren't getting into any real progress other than one more email. All right? There was nothing like, hey, we got this done next. He was literally a smokescreen to set up while the Raiders are really doing business in Las Vegas. The Raiders fooled and bamboozled the Oakland. I pointed it out early on to Mark Davis that, hey, you were doing this to Oakland. He got mad at me. This is all on camera, okay? All on camera. I'll show you later. This is all on camera, all right? But we had a better chance of suing the A's and the Raiders, and winning if we'd followed the St. Louis breach of contract model and joined St. Louis in a joint lawsuit against the Rams and the Raiders in the NFL. We would have won. Would we have caused the Raiders to stop moving? No. Would we have gotten $760 million as an award? Quite possibly, yes. Instead of this whole antitrust ephemeral, like, well, it's as much as I love the attorney that was working on it, but I was that lone voice that says, well, hey, how about the breach of contract? Why don't we just team with St. Louis and then call Mayor Faulkner in San Diego and team with him and get us all together? Since the NFL is using the same model for every one of them in terms of, well, this is the home team and they're not following through with this. Well, they are. No. Bad stuff. Okay. Is me discussed, but they have to fail to secure financing. That's not true. They're not done securing it. It doesn't happen like that. It happens in layers. There is a new financing arm of Goldman Sachs for sports facilities, sports financing teams of facilities that's designed to capture the interests of Goldman's high net worth clients around the world. And because of that, there was a push for a more integrated design between hotel and other uses with the ballpark here. All right. So what you see coming out of the final design with respect to hotel and everything else will look like it should be part of this rather than some weird appendage. All right. It'll look as one because Goldman and Greg Carey and company want to see a facility that they can take to one series of investors and say, hey, look, this is the whole kit and caboodle, invest. That's the idea. All right. So Smoke says, Smoke, I agree Allegiant is dope, but it fits the Raiders' theme. The A's need a revamp, and this is a good start to give them a new identity. Rob says, Fisher said mostly from family, and Forbes reported he and family had the resources. He's not about to show his bank statements. He doesn't, that's not the issue. Okay? That's not the issue. All right? And they're not going to lay out exactly how this works because at this point, with respect to private financings and everything else, you don't need to know. This is the way it goes, folks. Private sector financings, you have the right to know about. Public sector financing is what I meant to say you have the right to know about. Private sector, going back there, you don't have to know how every I is dotted and every T is crossed. So you're not going to get that. That's why they come up in closed session. It's not until elected officials are called upon to put signature on the final documents, and when everything comes together, then it's made public. But not until then. Scott says they haven't secured a loan that he'll only borrow so much. That's not how it works. It's not that. You're borrowing based on the revenue the facility produces. Bozos! Jeez Louise. You don't get it. You don't get it, Scott. It's not how it works. Okay? This is stupid. All right? Okay. Vital Vegas and Casey Pratt. What? Maybe that's Vital Vegas. Reminds me of the City Opera House. And the reason Oakland cannot have brilliant world-class architecture is what? Well, we haven't built it. We can't have something because we don't build. Scott says, journalists paying attention know that they are struggling to get financing. Look, Scott, journalists don't understand how financing on the project works. It's not that they're struggling to get it. You don't struggle to get something you have site control for. You don't struggle to get something that Major League Baseball is backing. You don't struggle to get something that you have the full faith and credit help of Clark County, the city of Las Vegas, and the state of Nevada. This message is stupid. Stop writing stupid messages. This is dumbassery. It just is. Stadium financing doesn't work like your home financing. Okay? Scott sounds like a Bay Area spy. Yeah. Know nothing. Stadium financing is not your home financing. Get out of your damn head. Okay? Says we have Bay Area spies during the Nevada legislature. Yep, sure did. Viva Las Vegas. Says Rob says refinancing. Fisher actually made these comments in talking to reporters after the Las Vegas event a few weeks ago, but they didn't ask him about Goldman or the private placement financing. Dave Covell did. John knows I'm going to be blunt with you. John knows less about this than Dave does. Okay, he has some idea, but the man who understands the mechanism is Dave Covell. That's the man you should be talking to. Sorry, John. Okay? John's just a team owner. He approves at the end. He's not supposed to know all the details. He's supposed to let his president do the talking. Sometimes I wish he'd do that. Yeah, I said that, okay? Raider just got up and ran. Scott again. I bet the presence of schools, not stadiums, in that lawsuit is making lenders. That's a lot. This guy is a plant. Oh, God. Okay. And Goldman may take on more risk in this loan. It's a bond issue. It's not a loan. Loan's a bond issue, is kind of a loan, but this is different. It's serialized. And I'll bet you never built a spreadsheet just to structure anyone. No one takes the schools. Yeah, no one takes that serious. It's a joke. Anytime somebody would tell you, this is how stupid they are, okay? And what they do. Not stupid people in general, but they're stupid with this. This is how stupid their approach is, and they won't get off it. A standard general obligation bond has a tax that applies where everybody who lives in areas of Clark County and Las Vegas and pays it, okay? And Nevada, everybody pays it. It's one tax. There's a reason why Las Vegas and Nevada is called a modified Dillon's rule area. So you have people from a home rule state, California, trying to look at Las Vegas as if it's home rule, where the city, levies the tax rather than the state. These people don't get it. All right. And someone like Chris Daly live in Las Vegas, and he still doesn't get the difference between home rule and Dillon's rule. I learned that a long time ago. You better get that. You better daggone well get that difference understood in your brain before you talk about financing for stadiums or anything or any facility in the Nevada context, okay? Because you're blowing it. Straight out blowing it, okay? All right. So Joe Lopez says, Scott Stevens, why doesn't school over stadiums file a lawsuit? Okay. Let me go mute. This is a good question. Sorry about that. Again, Scott Steffens, Joy Lopez says to Scott Steffens, if schools over stadiums is serious about students, Utah just approved almost $2 billion for an arena and ballpark. Shouldn't Utah students have schools over stadiums attention? Yeah, he's right. But you see, this is a matter of two people who live in Las Vegas who, are trying to basically put their political stamp on things for future endeavors. They don't care about working with the athletics to create a nice stream of help and income for the schools. No. You see, they'd rather stop something that makes money or try to. But what impedes them is their own lack of understanding of Nevada government structure with respect to finance. Vegas Mark says, Ryan Bear, nope, the current Tropicana hotel is a bit higher than this will be from the looks of it. Yep. Yeah, Tropicana, I think, is 290. That's 272, something like that. Patrick Phillips says, it's stunning design, absolutely game-changing for sports. I could not agree more. Mike Scott says, Fisher spent a whopping $44 million on payroll this year, fellas. Yeah, that's going to change with this bad boy. Woo, you're looking at, again, almost $1 billion in revenue year one. Smoke says, your legitimacy is refreshing, Z. Scott says, Joe Lombardo vetoes a bill about free lunch in Nevada, yet passes a stadium bill that will help John Fisher's assets increase in value. Okay, so what? You're not familiar with private placement bond issues? See, if you claim those schools not stadiums and you make a statement like this, that's a signal you have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, you just proved it. putting together a great product for you guys in Vegas. Yep. Vegas Mark says Nevada State Government, Nevada Commission Visitors Authority, and MLB laugh at the dead on arrival schools over stadiums. Thomas McKinney says way bigger than 9 acres, total crock, worse than the first one. I love it. I love it. I think this is a game. Not what I think. This is a ballpark game paint changer. Ballpark is a deliberate double entendre. Schools over stadiums got laughed out of court. They did, didn't they? And a tax on bond issue are two very different things. Then they came up with this press release that says, well, it's unconstitutional in 5 different ways. But the ways they pointed out all pointed to, pure and simple, their idea that this is a standard tax that is imposed on people rather than people coming into the facility and spending money and the revenue systems collecting it from entities, including the ballpark, that collect their monies within the district. So you can go outside the district, and guess what? Even if you spend money, it doesn't wind up to the bond issue. It's not a tax imposed on residents, you idiots. Ugh, God, you're so stupid. Anyway, all right. Mike Scott says they think they sky in free agents this year, 44 million. Well, you know what? Maybe they'll amortize. Still mute. I can't hear. Did I get muted? No, I didn't mute you. No, I'm still on mute. Who's on mute? Me? Another one of losses. Nope. No, what's going on is that he said you can't hear right now, or maybe that was a while ago. That was a while ago. People have no sense of scale and scope. That was me. Okay, I see what happened. Oh, so cool. Las Vegas is such an amazing town. I mean, it doesn't look like the 9 acres, but it could just mean that Bally's has agreed to reworking, that they'll start owning a hotel on the site. Yep. 24th ranked farm system. Fisher's never going to spin free agents, hasn't in 20 years. Hey, sorry about the mute problem. That was my fault. Can you all hear now? Me? Because what happened was I accidentally hit the mute button. I didn't intend to. Can you all hear me talk? I guess somebody can. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, Scott. Yeah. So anyway, I love to debate. I get upset about matters of technical detail that I think people should know. And I really encourage you all to study, bonds. I've been through this with the Raiders situation. I thought I had the answer. I even filed a complaint, went to the ethics commission, and I learned the hard way. Well, not as hard as schools, not stadiums, how Nevada politics works. Okay, you got no chance. All right. So, yes. Thanks, Patrick. Mike Scott, A's aren't expected to be competitive for at least another couple of years. Is that why the A's will either the Coliseum, Sacramento, Salt Lake City? Yeah. R.D. Moss says, we hear you fine, even through the Bay Area talking points. Says, I'm telling you, that's like 20 plus acres. Good. Bravo. They got more space. Woo-hoo, good for them. Don't be mad, bro. All right, folks, I got to go. It's 6:20. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. I'll be back to continue this debate. Mike Scott, you know what? This facility that we're looking at is going to clear $700 million in revenue year one, if not closer to $1 billion. Okay? Casey says, but I'm sorry. Patrick Phillips says, as much as I wish the A's would stay, me too, it's hard to argue if there was a better deal to be had. Yeah. I've got to now get going officially. All right, folks. Look at a soccer team. Hey, different world, folks. Different world, different ball game, if you will. Hey, pro or con, it's always great to have an exchange. I apologize again if I call certain names or say I call you a name. I just want you to understand the techniques of it. All right. understand the techniques and then make your argument within the techniques. Don't try to act like the techniques don't matter. They do. That's all I'm saying. Okay. He says A's will be better on the field this year. Just watch. RD Moss says, hit the like button for Big Z. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the dose of real talk here, sir. Hey, I appreciate the feedback. All comers. Thank you. It's a lot of fun to have these conversations. And again, all I ask is I just cry that people don't understand their governments. It really upsets me. Thomas McKenzie, it's going to get built. Sorry. All right. Especially now. All right. See you all later. See ya at the end of this broadcast. This is hard to get worse than the. No, that's true. Hey, you only will go up from here, Mike. Okay, look at it that way. I'll see you all later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.